Beyond Dreaming by Hart, a guide to awakening consciousness through the path of astral projection and out-of-body experiences, Part 19. They look like shamanic masks, all charming and imperfectly unique, made out of dark wood. It was clear to me that this was a symbolic lesson on the ego. Everyone started showing each other their mask, proud of what they had made. Shortly after, the priestess went around, one by one, taking people's masks and inspecting them. She used a magic pen to tap on each mask and turn them into splendorous gold, fixing all their imperfections. The priestess goes to one woman to take her mask, but the woman is upset and distressed and says, "I don't want my mask turning into gold." The priestess calmly takes the mask from her anyway and says emphatically, "This is necessary." She turns the mask into gold and gives it back. The woman seems stunned and just stares at her mask. The previously excited atmosphere had mysteriously shifted now. There was a silence as everyone looked on in awe. There appeared to be a shift in the atmosphere. On a deep subconscious level, there seemed to be learning and information being communicated through this act of the mask changing to gold, compared to when they were just discussing things about the Quran and the Bible. As the priestess continued to go to each person, she eventually came to me. I didn't have a mask. Instead, she smiled and kindly held my wrist, revealing a bracelet with a crucifix pendant hanging from it. She turned the pendant into gold. I told her thank you and smiled. After some time, a new person comes through the door, and I'm surprised to see it's someone I know, a colleague from an old workplace. She was often in a sad or hurt mood in physical life. I was curious to see her here. She shouted happily, "Wow, this is amazing. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here." Everyone claps and responds with happiness. The priestess welcomes her and calms her down and says in a somber mood, "Yes, but you must wait. The path isn't easy, and we have to suffer. You have to accept and work through your suffering." A significant thing I learned from this experience was that the way we are influenced at night is not by intellectual learning, but by things that make a powerful impression on our consciousness. This is how influential OBEs can be on our subconscious at night, and why it can be of great spiritual significance to become aware of what is happening in our sleep. I believe many of us unconsciously attend these sorts of classes during sleep more often than we realize. One thing I found peculiar, and how I could tell everyone was dreaming, was by how overly happy and fascinated everyone seemed, similar to how people become too engrossed with what they see while watching TV. I could see their unconsciousness in their eyes. Furthermore, what I noticed is what happens to many on the spiritual path. People reach out to spiritual teachings out of sadness in the hope of attaining happiness. But once they find a tiny grain of wisdom that brings them joy, perhaps thinking they have found enlightenment, then they are content for a small amount of time and continue their life as usual until they become depressed again, not realizing that the tiny drop of wisdom they found was only a minuscule part of an entire ocean of spiritual happiness and knowledge. Hence, this is the state of humanity, chasing any opportunity for happiness and running away with it, not genuinely honoring it and comprehending it, nor making an effort to remember it. It's important to remember that whenever we make efforts on the spiritual path, no matter what sort of realizations we come to, there will always be deeper aspects and levels of consciousness for us to comprehend. Whatever plane our consciousness may be acting in, both we and the things belonging to that plane are, for the time being, our only realities. As we rise in the scale of development, we perceive that during the stages through which we have passed, we mistook shadows for realities, and the upward progress of the ego is a series of progressive awakenings, each advance bringing with it the idea that now, at last, we have reached reality, but only when we shall have reached the absolute consciousness and blended our own with it, Shall we be free from the delusions produced by Maya, illusion? Helena Blavatsky.